So I'm Arun Thomas. I work for BAE Systems, and I am now the chair of the RISC V Marketing Committee. So I'm going to give sort of an update on what the Marketing Committee has been up to, what our mission is, what it will be up to, essentially. So I've been to all of the RISC V workshops so far, and it's pretty cool. It's been pretty impressive kind of seeing the RISC V develop in a really short period of time. And all the talks today have been pretty impressive, and we now have like silicon that we can buy, which is pretty exciting. I'm still waiting for the Freedom Unleashed board, so I'm looking forward to that, Jack. But yeah, it's a lot of impressive stuff that's happened in a really short period of time. And so I'm pretty enthusiastic about the future of RISC V. I sort of have to be with my marketing committee hat, but it's pretty cool. So RISC V has some fairly modest ambitions. So it wants to become the kind of industry standard ISA for all computing devices. The goal, I've heard Dave and Krista say this, the goal is sort of world domination. So this is a quote from the white paper that Krista and Dave released when RISC V was announced. Instruction sets should be free, the case for RISC V. And so really they're hoping to change the whole industry. There should be one standard open ISA, and RISC V should be that. And so that's actually pretty exciting. I mean, how cool would it be if there was an open ISA that could use for all computing devices? I think it really sort of change the industry. So that's pretty exciting. And so we, as members of the foundation and the community, are sort of helping to make that happen. And so the marketing committee's mission, so there's a technical committee and there's a marketing committee. So the marketing committee in general is there to help grow RISC V mindshare, promote RISC V, make people aware of RISC V, and also generally grow the RISC V community. So generally support all of the non-technical aspects of RISC V and sort of promote RISC V and also promote the RISC V community. And so we have sort of a charter. These are the kinds of things that we'll be doing. We want to build the awareness of RISC V in industry, the open source community, and academia. So there's a lot of sub-communities in the RISC V community, and sort of try to reach all of these people. We want to grow the community of RISC V users, developers, and foundation members. We have a lot of foundation members signed up. There's a lot of people joining RISC V and kind of becoming part of the community. Out of curiosity, for how many people is this the first workshop you've been to? Cool, that's awesome. That's really cool, actually. So the community is actually really growing a lot, and so it's actually pretty exciting. And we want to keep doing that and keep that momentum going forward. And so the marketing committee also organizes RISC V workshops such as this. We want to start organizing tutorials. We've done some of this in the past. We want to do more to kind of get people up to speed on RISC V. And then various developer summits, local user meetings, and just make it easier for people to congregate and talk about RISC V. We also want to coordinate RISC V participation in industry events, conferences, and trade shows. If there's an interesting open source conference or trade show, we want there to be some sort of RISC V talk. And so we're kind of relying on people in the community to kind of give talks various places. So I've given talks places, many people have given talks to different open source conferences. And so we want to do a lot more of that. And so a lot of what the marketing committee will be doing is sort of organizing those efforts and sort of putting an events calendar together and just basically twisting people's arms to give talks. So recently, a couple weeks ago, I twisted Krista's arm into giving a talk at Meet BSD, and so we gave a talk about RISC V, and it was well attended. So we want to do a lot more of this, make sure everyone kind of knows what RISC V is and becomes a part of the community. We also want to create more RISC V educational materials, documentation for industry practitioners, researchers, and university students. If someone's teaching, we want to make it easy for professors to teach courses about RISC V. We want researchers using RISC V. I mean, we've seen a lot of pretty interesting talks today about people using RISC V in their research and people using RISC V in products. Large companies are using it, startups are using it. We basically want to make sure more of this happens. We also want to highlight all the kind of exciting things that are happening in RISC V on the website, social media, official press releases, and all of that stuff. So in general, we want to make sure people are aware of RISC V, everyone knows what's happening, and in general, get more people hacking on RISC V and using RISC V. So the marketing committee is broken down into a few different task groups. This is what we've sort of decided at the last RISC V Foundation meeting. this might change a little bit, but the way it's split up is we have a workshops committee, or task group rather, and it's responsible for planning future RISC-V workshops, such as the one in Shanghai and this one. There's an outreach committee that promotes RISC-V at industry events and conferences other than the workshop. We have a RISC-V content task group that'll create content for the RISC-V website and various educational marketing materials, training, that kind of stuff. We have a member content task group that will promote content for from various RISC-V Foundation members. If you have a cool announcement, if you have a cool product coming out, like the High Five board, we want to make sure we highlight these sorts of things so people know when they're happening. We have some chairs for some of the task groups and committees. So I'm the marketing committee chair. Ted Morena is the vice chair. He's the gentleman in the back with the colorful t-shirt. Wave, Ted. Yep. And you met Dominic Rizzo earlier. He's the workshops task group chair. And so you should come up and talk to us. And we're also looking for chairs for the following groups: the outreach task group, the RISC-V content task group, and the member content task group. We're also looking for members to be a part of these task groups as well, to kind of help and volunteer. So yeah, we want to hear from you. The marketing committee and the committees in general are very new. We kind of have an idea of what we want to do, but we want to hear from you. How can the marketing committee, how can the foundation help you in your RISC-V efforts? How can we promote RISC-V? How can we help you market RISC-V internally? And generally, what are the pain points that you have with RISC-V? How can we make your RISC-V experience better? And are there areas where you can help the marketing committee? Are there things that you'd like to volunteer? We're always looking for volunteers to help out. And so, yeah, that's about it. Grab me at the workshop or drop me a line if you have ideas, if there are things we should be adding to our charter, other functions we should be serving, definitely let me know. I'm really excited about RISC-V. Every workshop has been, there's like more and more interesting stuff happening, and it's really kind of exponential, the growth of RISC-V. So I'm very excited to work with all of you to kind of make to grow the community and grow RISC-V. So with that, I'm happy to take questions.
There's got to be questions for Arun.
So we'll definitely work on the promotional content and all that stuff. We'll see if we can get you some T-shirts and things like that. But are there other ideas you guys have?
Is there any educational material available yet?
I don't think so. There are courses that use RISC-V. So that's not true. There are courses that use RISC-V. I mean, there are the Berkeley courses. There's some courses at Cambridge. There's various universities that are doing RISC-V things. There's some material from the past tutorials. I think we need to do a better job of sort of organizing that stuff and coming up with sort of a standard set of materials and modules that people can use. If that's something that you're interested in, I mean, I know you've created curriculums before. It would be great to kind of have your perspective on that and your help with that. But yeah, it would be great to kind of grab some of the Berkeley course materials and kind of turn that into sort of reusable resources that people could use at any university or for industry practitioners as well. So that's something that I would like to kind of work on soonish.
Let's see, the question is, at the last retreat, people asked for a textbook. And so I'm here to report that the textbooks that John Hennessy and I did that will both be switched over to RISC-V. So the undergraduate one will be available. That's awesome. In April-ish, and that's thanks to Yunsep Lee and Andrew Waterman. And then the graduate book we're still writing, but it'll be available in summer. But they both use RISC-V.
That's very cool.
So, and how soon will the RISC-V workshop be running on RISC-V processors? The web page.
The website. What do you think, Rick? I guess
ask Amazon that question.
Actually, so Yunsep can talk about that a little bit. I mean, so the technical committee is doing a lot of work, kind of pushing on the software stack, the hardware stack. So maybe we can get it running on a High Five board or the Freedom Unleashed board eventually. So, but yeah, Yunsep can tell us more about that.
Any other questions? We'll switch over to Yunsep.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Arun.
Yeah.